Hey everybody, I'm Garcia. Today I'm taking a look at a card game that puts you in a bunch of different end-of-the-world scenarios. This is Maximum Apocalypse. In this cooperative game, the players are each going to pick a character. You are going to set up one of the many scenarios included in the box, and then you are going to explore the landscape. You are going to gather your cards, play them, attack your enemies, and try to complete your assignment, whatever that may be, again, depending on the scenario. It's basically a card game with some tiles that you are exploring as you are moving on this, board made up of tiles. There's quite a bit going on in it, but it's not a complicated game. So let me go ahead and give you a look at how this works together. Come on back after that. I'll give you some final thoughts. The game is scenario-based. In this case, we're taking a look at Scenario 1, Save the Scientist. It's going to tell us some information on the front here. It's going to tell us some setup on the back. We're going to build up the map, usually however we want to, unless the setup tells us otherwise. We are going to set up the decks of cards. Every player picks a character, a deck that goes with that character. They shuffle that up, draw their opening hand, and we're going to shuffle up the deck of monsters, and everyone gets one to begin with as well. And then we're going to we're going to follow down the turn structure here until the game comes to a close. We just continue taking turns. So let's go right to that. The first thing we do is we spawn monsters. We take both of these dice, we roll them, and we add them up. So 8, if any tiles were 8, in this case the only face-up tile is the van, that's a 6. If any were 8, then we would spawn monsters at those locations by putting out these monster tokens. Be aware every player already starts with one monster in play, so you've already got some competition right off the bat. After that, we're going to draw a card. So let's say the mechanic over here is going to be first. They draw one card from their deck, and then we take 4 actions. So you can move, you can draw a card, you can play a card, or you can scavenge, which is draw from down here, if your location allows for that. In this scenario, we are looking for the police station where the scientist is hiding. We are going to discover that location, find the scientist, acquire the scientist, and make it back to the van with enough fuel that we can escape. So as I said, I'm going to be starting as the mechanic. Here I have my hand of cards. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a wrench into play. This is something that lets me attack. So I'm going to put that into play. That's my first action. It has an encumbrance limit, an amount, and I can only carry so much. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the action printed right on it. Deal 2 damage to a target. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 damage right here to the zombie dog. For my third action, I'm going to do it again. The zombie dog takes 5 hits. And then for my last action, I could do it again. For example, to put 2 more hits on here. And that gets rid of the dog. I'm not going to have to deal with it. If the dog had been easier to kill by 1, let's say, then I could have taken my last action to move, for example. I could have moved in here. And upon entering a place that we haven't revealed yet, we will reveal it. If there's any text on it, we'll deal with that text. And now there's a new location that we have to contend with every time we roll for monsters, all right? So next up after that, we've got a few free actions listed here, such as discard 2 cards to draw 1 and trade cards with the other players. The next step is increase hunger. And every player has a hunger die that begins at 1. We tick it up by 1 every time we hit that step. And then lastly, at the end of the turn, we are going to take damage. If we have any monsters in front of us, we would take damage from them. And it is the next player's turn, who is going to roll the dice, spawn monsters, take their 4 actions, increase their hunger, and then give the dice to the next player for their turn. We are exploring the map, as I said, finding different locations. So for example, the shelter here says it's immune to damage when you end your turn there. We're going to find next to that a gas station here that says when you reveal it, you get a free scavenge. The place you may scavenge from is listed here at the top, this case red. So for that free scavenge, we would draw a card here and take it into our hands. We found some fuel. So you take that and you are going to deploy it in front of you again. It does have a weight amount, so you have to make sure not to go over your limit for that. So that player might take that. And then being on that tile, besides that free scavenge action, you can continue to take scavenge actions. For 1, you will draw another card from that pile. We are again exploring. This one, when you review, you got a free scavenge over here for food. We will continue moving about, hoping to find this police station, pick up this scientist, and move on. As more places are open, of course, and we roll, I've now got a 6. That means a monster is going to spawn at the van. Next turn, we might roll an 8, and we might spawn a monster out in the open field. And if a player encounters that space, they'll get rid of the token, and they will draw a monster from the deck instead. Put it in front of them, deal with it. Usually they'll have a strength, how much they hit you for, and possibly some text that comes into play. Some of the weaponry and the monsters are going to have range. They can be short range, meaning just your tile, mid-range, 1 tile away, and then long range, an extra tile away after that. As player enter tiles with monsters on them, they are going to make a stealth check. So let's say a couple of monsters have spawned here at the gas station. As this player enters that spot, they are going to make a stealth test, and your stealth is printed on your character sheet. Right here, a 7. I am going to be attempting to roll below that and sneak by these monsters, but every monster on that tile reduces that roll by 1, or how difficult it is, it'll make it more difficult by 1. So I'm rolling below a 7 right now, but because of these 2, I'm rolling below a 5. I do that, I fail, so the monsters will engage me. Some characters, of course, will be better at stealth than other characters. So, besides that, that's mostly everything. The only thing I haven't really delved into is hunger. As I said, at the end of every round, you are going to click up your hunger dial here by 1, and when it makes it to 6, unless you're able to find cards to manage that hunger, your character is going to flip over. You lose any inherent power you had, and you are going to start taking damage from that hunger. When you first flip the card over, in this case, the mechanic will take 2. Next time it's the end of my turn, unless I've eaten something, I will take 4 damage. After that, I'll take 6, 8, and then I am dead and out of the game. So, you are trying to keep all of these things in balance. Keep the monsters in check while still exploring the locations, trying to fulfill your objective, which, as I said in this case, is rescue the scientist from the police station. When you're there, you spend 2 actions. You rescue the scientist, and you have to carry them back to the van and get out of here with enough fuel for the van listed here at the top of this card. So that should give you a pretty good idea of what's going on in the game. In these decks, you are going to find some useful items like binoculars and a handgun. You might come away empty-handed. You might find more ammunition for your weapons. And you might even encounter sometimes monsters that ambush you. So there are no ambush cards in that deck. Let's see if there's any in here. So we've got spare parts, let you take a card from the discard pile, some fuel, some food, some medical supplies to restore health. But then down here we've got an ambush card that forces you to draw a monster immediately and deal with it. So that's pretty much what's going on in the game. As I said, you've got several scenarios that are going to change many of these parameters. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. All right, that's it. Let me tell you some of my thoughts as far as what I like, what I don't like in here, okay? So I really like the different amount of, different post-apocalyptic scenarios. There's a bunch of stuff I didn't even show you. There's, aliens and mutants and the zombies, of course, so I really like that. I like all the scenarios, all the possible baddies, all the different characters for the players. There's a lot going on, so it's every flavor of post-apocalyptic, would-be mayhem mixed into one box. I like that a lot. I also like a lot the look of the game. The artwork is awesome. It's kind of comic booky, but I really like it. It all looks congruent also. And I like the card quality a lot. The tokens are, for the most part, really nice, though there's a few that are just so little cardboard chits. But the card quality is great. Really good card quality there. I really like also that there's going to be a lot of replayability here. There's a ton of different things you can change. You can change the character you play, the setup of the map, the different scenarios, the monsters you go up against. There is a ton to explore here. I think you are, if you get into this game, you are not going to be bored of it for a long time. So that's all great. Now, some things I was not as thrilled about. The game is kind of a pain to set up. Playing it is not particularly difficult, but setting it up is kind of a pain. It just takes a long time to find all the right cards, shuffle them into the right decks, set up the map, find the tiles for the map, set up the map. It takes forever to get going. And then on top of that, the play length and how well you do is going to be wildly swingy, you know. You could have a game in which it's all randomized, so I could have, in that setup, the first tile I flipped over could have been the police station. That would have been it, largely. I walk out of there, I pick up the scientist, make it back to the van. I mean, I have to go get fuel, but I have to find one spot that has a red scavenge action. I'll get the fuel out of that, I don't have to explore a whole lot else, making my threat go up. So it's wildly swingy, the time, especially investment in it. The time investment is it could be anything. And I also find the strategy in it to be very random. You don't know that goes hand in hand with how swingy it is. You don't know what kind of baddies you are going to draw, the card draws you are going to get, especially the die roll. One of the games I played, we found the scientist not too far out for that scenario specifically, and then making it back, we just happened to keep rolling the numbers that would spawn monsters in our way. If that had not been the case, that could have been an easy way back to the van. As it was, the game outstayed its welcome by about 30 minutes. So, very swingy. Having said all that, though, I don't dislike this game. I think, like I said, the theme and everything going on in it is awesome, and I do like that it's not a game that bogs itself down with minutia. Now, the rulebook is a little on the weak side, but overall, it's such a simple game to play that it does invite exploration, and it does, it wants you to dive right in and start doing stuff. And from that point of view, I like it a lot, Yeah, I'm not super happy about the fact that it could be anywhere from, 30 minutes to 90 minutes, and you can never tell what it's going to end up being. But I do enjoy the gameplay. It's fun, and I love this post-apocalyptic stuff anyway. So yeah, this one is going to get a seal of approval from me. I like it. If you are someone that, you enjoy games that are a little more loosey-goosey because you want to get into the theme, I think this is going to be one that you will very much enjoy. That is Maximum Apocalypse. Again, seal of approval. Thanks for checking this out with me. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.